everybody, and welcome to this edition of HCS Matters. I'm John Wright, Director of Public Relations for Hardin County Schools, and I am sitting with the Superintendent of Hardin County Schools, Ms. Teresa Morgan, and with Ellie Wright. She is a senior at Central Hardin High School and is also in the Early College Academy with our district. And Mrs. Morgan, we announced, I guess it was back in March or late February, about a wonderful initiative that it is our goal, to bring teachers or those who are interested in teaching, once they get that degree, back to our district. Yes. So I'll let you go and tell us about the meat and potatoes of the initiative.
Well, it's funny you say February or March, and I'm thinking we've been planning this
for
a very long time, and just have the opportunity. You know, everybody has been asking about the teacher shortage, and I really think it's a problem that we have caused ourselves. We have our transition readiness for our students, so we talk about being transition ready. We talk about making sure you have a livable wage, but we have forgotten to talk about do something you're passionate about. And so this is really encouraging those who are interested in education. We had the meeting at John Hardin High School that night. We had to bring out more tables, and it was so exciting because when I asked them, how many of you have known for a long time you wanted to become a teacher? You saw all the hands go up. They want to make a difference. They want to contribute and give back, and so education is the way to do that. So what Hardin County Schools is doing is we have any student who wants to become a teacher, once they are accepted into the education pathway, Hardin County Schools will contribute toward their education, their college education, with 1/3 of their tuition, up to $1,700 per semester for those students. And what we will ask of them is to come back and work in Hardin County for 3 years. As you know, many of our colleges, Western Kentucky, University of Kentucky, those are now a little bit bigger town, so some of our students get there and say, oh, I think I'll just stay here. Well, we want that talent to come back to Hardin County. So we are contributing in the future of our students, but also in the future of Hardin County Schools and the education profession.
So, and Dr. Corrine Murphy, who is the Dean of the College of Ed at WKU, and WKU turns out a lot of teachers. They're a leader among teaching teachers. I don't know if it's the proper vernacular, but they're a leader among that, and they have called this initiative groundbreaking, road paving, if you will. I mean, they've talked about the leadership behind this.
Yes, so what's more important than that is Dr. Murphy and I were at meetings together, and I shared, hey, I have this idea, and she says, we can make that happen, and we will partner with you on this. So Western Kentucky has agreed to match us dollar for dollar. So if we pay 1/3 of the tuition up to that $350 per class hour, that they will also match that. So we will pay 1/3, Western will match that 1/3, and then the student is responsible for 1/3. Now, the area that we have the most difficult time finding teachers is high school math or science. Yes. And again, the reality is you might be able to go into a different line of work and make more money. Sure. And what we have been telling our students, you can make more money, but is that going to be life fulfilling? So now we are trying to make every effort to say, hey, this is a great profession, come join us. So we will pay half, and Western has agreed to also pay half. I think it's important to note that if you want to go to another college, we will pay 1/3 of that tuition up to that $1,700 for the 15 hours or $2,100 if they take 18 hours. Yes. I'm not encouraging the 21 hours, that's a lot of work, but if we don't want them to feel that they're locked in, they have to go to Western, because we know we have a lot of awesome colleges and universities in our state, which brings me to another point. It is a Kentucky thing. We want to keep the Keys money and the state money within the state of Kentucky, so we will only do this for the institutions here in Kentucky.
Now, that's probably another question some folks have is, how is Hardin County Schools funding this? Where's the funding mechanism coming from?
We just hope this funding mechanism continues. Yeah. We have two things. We have teacher quality money, which is a federal grant that comes into the district. That pays part of it. But our Hardin County Board was very passionate that they want the students who have gone through our schools and have gotten that quality or received that quality education to come back to Hardin County Schools. So they too have contributed. They're, thinking about up to $50,000 a year that they would contribute towards scholarships. And again, they want the best and brightest coming back to their community, and that's the reason our board made that commitment.
Right, and it's really an investment not only in that student, but it's an investment in the district's future. Talk about that.
Yes, and when we know that these kids have a commitment to this area, we know they will come back and give back. So when they make this salary from Hardin County Schools, they're going to spend it in Hardin County Schools. If you ask the parents, what they're seeing is, my student's going to be around, or my child's going to grow up and be here. I'll get to be part of their life. Down the line, I'll get to be part of my grandchildren's life. So that investment is just what the board was looking for, is giving back to our community because of all the great things they've done for us. And so I think when these parents see these opportunities here in Hardin County for their students, they want that to happen.
Right, and so not only are their children coming back home to work, but they're also only paying a third of a tuition, or close to a third if it goes to another university, but only a third of a tuition when they go away to school for those for those teacher ed classes.
Yes, and the parents, the night of our informational session, those parents were coming up and going, this is amazing. Just yesterday, we had another meeting with some teachers, and one of them shared they still have $40,000 in college debt. With this program, we're really hoping our students will get out with zero cost and be able to return without having to make those monthly payments for the first 15 years of teaching.
Right. Ellie Wright is a participant in this program. Ellie, when you heard about this, what went through your mind?
I thought it was really cool. I thought it was a great chance to kind of get my degree and give back to the schools that raised me and helped me get to where I am today.
So obviously, your investment is only going to be a third of what it would have been. Did that maybe kind of assure you that this is what I wanted to do? This is what I wanted to do?
So I was looking at a couple other colleges in the area, and whenever I heard about this program and what our school district was doing for us, it was honestly just like a clear, this is what I need to do, and they want me to do this.
So talk about how the academy, like we said, you're an academy student. So you will go to, you're going to WKU. You will go there for just you'll have your bachelor's degree in just 2 years. So talk about that. I think you'll have a leg up, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
So I could, if I'm correct, I could start teaching the fall of 2025. So I could just have a full-time job and a classroom of students and opportunity to change their lives in 2 years, which is crazy to think about, but it's just a way to have a full-time job and early on, so then I can learn. I can have more years to learn and be young and fresh.
Right. So Ms. Morgan, what you just said, your theory is correct. So she's going to come back and start making money sooner, and hopefully, like you just said, to have close to zero debt, hopefully have zero debt.
Yes, and you heard Ellie say that this just cemented the decision. Everybody's looking for that calling, but they want to have the best path to make this happen. So Hardin County is removing those barriers to go, you can do this and be incredibly successful. Our concern is, some of these students are going to come back because they already have 2 years of college. They're potentially going to be teaching when they're 20 years old. And that is an astonishing statistic when most people start around 22, 23. So they're going to have 2 years of income that other students wouldn't have the opportunity for. Right. So they can start, saving that money for future cars, future homes, all of the things that they hold near and dear. As
a teacher, you're a teacher first.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as a teacher, does that, and superintendent, does that concern you that we're going to have a 20-year-old in the classroom, but they've had all the training, right? They've gone through the wars. So
well, you've got to know that they took 2 years of college classes. So what a lot of people are learning their freshman and sophomore year of college, they're learning in high school. They've had to learn to utilize their time. They had to make priority list of what do I need to get done by when. So a lot of the things we expect to happen the first 2 years of college happen their last 2 years of high school. So it's just a neat way to look at it. They're having those life experiences sooner. We anticipate that some students will go, you know, I'm just a little too young. I may go ahead and get my master's degree now that I'm already here. And so they could leave in 4 years with a master's degree instead of having to go back once they already start a job. And that's going to be up to each individual student and what their experiences say to them, what their parents help them see as they move closer to applying for those real jobs.
Right. We got this question, and we'll go into we had a couple of information sessions. We'll go into those here in just a minute. But at one of the sessions I thought was a great question is, what if life happens and my son or daughter meets their spouse, what will be their spouse, and their spouse wants to move away, but I signed a contract that says I'm coming back to teach in Hardin County Schools. So what happens?
And so that part of the contract just says you will pay back the funding that we provided to you, and everybody understands a contract. You have agreed to do this service, and if you can't fulfill that, then you will just repay that at the amount. The great news is if a student selects to go to Western Kentucky, that is still much less than what they would have had to pay had they gotten Pell Grants or a loan from a bank. We won't have the interest. It will be they will be responsible for paying that back. But again, these are students, they know that going in, and so it may be worth coming back to your community for those 3 years and then making that leap. Mainly because by that age they might be ready to teach. They probably won't be quite ready to make a commitment of that caliber outside of the state at that age.
You are co-chair of a task force in Frankfort that is focused in on this.
Yes.
So when you had this idea, I would imagine some other superintendents on that task force were, hey Terry, tell me a little bit about that.
Every superintendent in the state is looking to bring the best and brightest back to their district, and so there are other districts who have reached out to us and said, okay, what does this look like for you all? And when we tell them about our early college pathway, that's something that not other districts have. Many do, but not to the level that Hardin County does. So they are astonished by this success steps we are taking to help them build upon success. So I anticipate many other districts will do this. You've seen where Nelson County is doing an internship program similar to what our students are doing. And so I think this will become a way for every district to assist with the teacher shortage.
Ellie, you've had some opportunities to hang out in some of our classrooms through your teacher ed courses that you're in now. Talk about those opportunities and what you've seen, and hopefully it hasn't changed your mind about teaching. Hopefully it's just kind of reinforced what you wanted to do.
Yeah, so we've been through some of my classes placed in different schools, different locations, different grades, and so it's honestly been cool because if I would get to pick, I would probably just pick where I went to elementary school every single time, but it's honestly been cool to see everything with a fresh mind and open mind and just see how much different every school is and see how many opportunities every school provides. And I think honestly it's kind of hard to even know what grade I want to teach now because all the grades, they're all so different and so fun.
Right. So you first wanted to do middle school. Now you've zeroed in on elementary school. Why? And I know why, but tell others why you made that leap back to elementary.
So I think it's so cool to see kids just soak in all the information and because you think learning how to read and spell and count is it's just easy to us, but to them they have to learn that, and it's so surreal to me to see how fast and how quickly they can soak up that information.
Right, and you have been at New Highland Elementary. Tell us who you've been shadowing there and what you've learned.
So I've been in Miss Martin. She teaches first grade. There's a variety of students and learning cases in the classroom. So it's been really cool to just see all the students and how they learn and grow and their friendships and everything in the classroom is really cool.
So you've been exposed to probably some students with some special needs or some students with that are kind of maybe gifted and talented. Yes. So how's that shaped you, or how's that how are those experiences going to help you when you get into your classroom?
So at WKU, I plan to dual cert in special ed. So it's been really cool to see. I'm not really placed in a special ed classroom, but there are still some students that come in and out or are in the classroom sometimes that have those disabilities. So it's been really good for me to see, like, this is all that could happen in your classroom. You just have to be prepared for all of it.
Right. And Ms. Morgan, you know, you could have your class of 23 students one day, and then all of a sudden, you know, you may inherit a student who may have some special needs or whatever. And so I think this is great for our students to see firsthand, real hand, hey, this is what I'm going to have to be doing and adapting right now.
Right. When these students have these experiences, they really do learn that you have to differentiate for every student that walks through that door. Nobody fits into that perfect little box. And it's also interesting, the earlier they get out, they realize that teachers work really, really hard after hours, before hours, to be prepared for these students and making sure their needs are met. You know, Ellie spoke about the special needs students that come in, and you can see how far they can accelerate with each of those experiences. And having an extra person in the classroom, I know our teachers love this because they're like, hey, it's another set of hands to meet the individual needs in this class.
Right.
And, you know, Ellie talked about the dual certification. That is something we are really encouraging all of these students to do because it's not going to take more time. They will still be able to complete this in the 4 years. But, you know, the night that we did the information session, we had a young man who wanted to do ag, be an ag teacher. And so we said to him, you may want to get dual certification because in this district, we only have about 7 ag teachers. So when you are only having 7 positions, and so he was like, okay, I need to get another certification, maybe in social studies or science or math, to make sure I can become employed. Band directors, you know, we don't have a ton of band teachers in the district. There's 3 in the district, so those positions don't readily come available. So that dual certification really cements the fact that you will be able to get a job in one of the areas you most desire.
The information sessions we had one at the Early College Career Center, and that was geared toward students who are kind of in Ellie's position, the students who are going to go first, or they've already got those, they're going to get their associates in May and go off to their post-secondary ed institutions. But we also talk to students who attend all day at their home high schools, and they're in some teaching pathways there. They're taking some courses there, and you and I and several other district officials were amazed at. We probably had 40 students there, and we were hoping for 15, and we got 40, and so I would think that gives you as superintendent hope. Hey, this is really going to help our kids, help our students.
It's going to make a tremendous difference. And when we raised hands at first, I thought, oh, please don't let there be 40 seniors in this room because I wasn't sure how far that money would go. Our board has been very generous. But if you saw the hands, there were about 15 seniors, 15 juniors, and then about 15 freshmen and sophomores together, but they already have that passion for education. But you saw males, females, different cultures, diversity, which represents our district. That was the most exciting part of that night for me, is you could see our district being represented, and we need those students to come back and be in the classroom.
Right, so not only are we relying on students to come back, our graduates to come back, but Ms. Morgan, we are literally, Mr. Lawson has there's no telling how many miles he's put on his car to go from Illinois to Michigan to Indiana to Tennessee and back again. He's done that several times here in the last probably 2 months, 3 months. But so talk about how important that is to find that additional talent that we'll need.
Right, so Mr. Lawson is our Director of Human Resources and just does a phenomenal job. And what he does is go to universities that we've had great success with in the previous years. So he tracks that information and he asks the human resources departments at those schools, okay, what kind of applicants do you have? And so he tries, early bird gets the worm, so he's trying to get there early, meet with those students, tell about the great community we live in. You know, we are an hour from Louisville, we are 2 hours from Cincinnati, 2 hours from Nashville. So it is, you can be centralized, be young like Ellie, and be able to go and have all of these experiences that, you know, we're finding that that's what these individuals want, is they want to have some excitement outside of the school. And so Mr. Lawson is selling, you know, that the area itself, but then also what a great school district they will be moving into. You know, we do our employee engagement survey every year, and people rate their colleagues really high. Like, this is a great place to work. It's a great place to be in this profession where you can make a difference. And so Mr. Lawson is out finding those science teachers, math teachers, no matter what state, and they are intrigued with what we're offering here in Hardin County and in the state of Kentucky.
You mentioned surveys. I know you, Mr. Lawson, Mr. Sutton, our Chief Information Officer, you guys go out and you talk to those first-year teachers while they're in their first year. Hey, what can we be doing? What additional assistance do you need, and what can we be doing to those who will come behind you as first-year teachers?
Yes, that has been just an amazing experience. The positivity those first-year teachers bring, they talk about the support they're getting from the central office through just their first days in payroll, insurance, all of that information. But when they get to the school, they have a mentor that works for them, with them to answer any questions that they may have. And then at the district level, we do new teacher training, and that may be on Kagan strategies, it may be on Orton Gillingham, it may be on project-based, problem-based learning, and they are just really excited at the level of knowledge. They thought they came in knowing everything they needed to know after college, and they're like, well, there's a lot more to learn once you step through that door and you have your own classroom. And so those surveys, each year we get better because we go out and ask for that, not once but twice. They're all excited at the beginning of the year, but then the middle of the year you start saying, what can we do differently? And they start telling you, I wish I'd had this training in the first 2 weeks of school, not in January. So every year we're looking to improve, and it's through their communication. And I tell them when we go, you're not going to get anything out of this other than the candy bar I bring you, but the information you give us is going to help us improve as a district.
Sure. Ellie, Mrs. Morgan talked about being close to Louisville. We're only 2 hours away from Nashville. Does that, you will be a young teacher as a young person, does that excite you to know, oh, I can still have fun, still expand my horizons in Hardin County, Kentucky?
Yeah, so I think E-Town is it's obviously central Kentucky, kind of close to everything. So, like on the weekends, or even like to do conferences with teachers and like groups you may get involved in teaching, it's cool to know that you're close to everywhere and you can kind of go wherever you need to go.
Who was a teacher in the district that kind of said, look, when you had them, or they made a mark on you to say, I know this is what I want to do because he or she is a teacher?
So Miss Hetty at GC Burkhead, she teaches 3rd grade, I'm pretty sure still. She kind of, I was still young in 3rd grade, obviously, but like I just remember her always and remember some of the things she did still now, and like want to implement those things in my classroom. So awesome. So it's amazing how they can keep that, folks. Her 3rd grade teacher influenced her enough to be a teacher.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny, we talk about what kind of impact, and when you're teaching, you never realize in 15 years that this person's going to come back and say, I remember when, and they want to improve because they recognize what an impact they are making years and years later.
We've just got a few more minutes, but not only are we doing this program, a tuition assistance program, and I don't know if that's the right terminology, but that's what it is, but we are also doing this program for people who work for us. As what we call classified positions. I'm a classified employee. I don't have to have a teaching certificate to do my job, an instructional assistant, a bus driver, a custodian, to help them be teachers.
Yes. So that's one of the programs we started with, was a Grow Your Own program, and there are other districts doing this in the state of Kentucky. Owensboro Independent is one of those districts. And you're taking individuals who have worked with children for years, but maybe they couldn't stop their job because of insurance, or they couldn't go 2 months or 4 months without a paycheck. And so we are assisting those individuals with going back and getting a degree. And I got to tell you, it is just heartwarming to go in and watch them, because all of those years of working with all these different teachers, they have picked up the best skills, and they real life every day for 10 to 15 years, and then they come in, have their own classroom, and they take the best of the best and they implement that. And that has been incredibly rewarding, because I've had the opportunity to go into some of those individuals 2 years later to see them in their own classroom. And it is just simply amazing to see what they have learned over the years by being that classroom assistant. And we have people who work in child nutrition, and basically all of them realize it's those relationships. If you have a positive relationship with those students, they want to come in, they want to please you, they want to show you how appreciative they are to you as a teacher. And so the paraeducator program, again, we have bus drivers, we have child nutrition workers, we have, the majority of them are working as classroom assistants and are now going back to school, but they're bringing all the expertise from all those other teachers that they have worked with over the years.
And we're helping folks become administrators.
Yes, so our other program is, believe it or not, we have a lack of applicants when it comes to principal positions. Before, I think when Lois Gray was superintendent, she said she would have 20 to 25 applicants. Now it's, maybe 3 to 5 applicants. Well, we go out, the instructional services department, myself, we go out and we see these potential leaders in all of our buildings. And, Kentucky dropped the requirement for you to get a master's degree within 10 years. It's totally optional. So when you're having to pay that expense, you're not sure you want to go back to school. So we are, again, offering the 1/4 tuition for those. We, of course, need teachers more than we need administrators right now. So we are paying 1/4 of their tuition to help them get through the program. And we already know we have a principal position open right now. We have 7 applicants in that for that position, and just reviewing the applications, we know we have a really quality applicant pool, and that we'll be able to get a very successful principal from that pool.
Don't say that out loud. Other superintendents will want to know who those 6 other people were that you did.
I already had a phone call this morning, and I said, when we're finished interviewing, I'll let you know who to interview from there. But all of these programs, we just want to be proactive. And I know other districts are really struggling with teachers, but I really feel that we are moving that momentum forward, that we're not going to have that crash that some other districts are having, and just really appreciate everybody working on this. You have Western, who has partnered with us, our human resources, Debbie Wyatt, who's looking at the applications, making sure people fill out their contracts, and then meeting with these individuals to say, this is what's expected of you. And then we have also provided them assistance with Gina Jeffries, who works with them, who says, how can I help you get through this program? Because it is a lot to have a full-time job and be going to school. So we really do offer that support.
Well, thank you guys for hanging out. It's been a quick 30 minutes, but we've
you.
learned a lot today in talking about our HCS initiatives on how we are helping folks become teachers, whether they work for us, whether they are students, or whether they already work for us in the classroom, and to help them become principals or administrators. So it's been a great 30 minutes. For more about the student initiative, there is information under the news and announcements section on our website. You can go to hardin.kyschools.us, and there is a little news blurb there about that. For more information about that, if you didn't get to come in to any of those information sessions, read that section on our website. And you can also call us at central office. You can ask to speak to the superintendent's office, or you can ask to speak to Miss Debbie Wyatt. She is our director of federal programs, and she controls the purse strings on this initiative, and she's a key part of that. So anyway, thank you for watching. It's been a great time, and we'll see you soon.